Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Jacob Bussey, and this is the Bussey Banter. Today, we have a special edition here on the Bussey Banter / Hot Take podcast. I'm joined by Hot Take podcast host Jonah Atchison, Luke Connolly,
I'm
Josiah
back,
Bosch,
baby.
and Josh Pulis will be joining us shortly. Guys, if you want to give yourselves a little introduction as to what we're going to do today.
I don't think I have to introduce myself, but I'll introduce the topics anyways. We're going to be talking a little bit of NHL, a little bit of MLB right now. It's looking like a who's who of 2015 in the MLB so far this season. It's been a little weird. And we're going to go through some NFL draft rankings and see if someone's mock draft looks stupid. We we have the draft coming up in 3 days, so it's going to be really exciting to see what happens there.
Yeah, for sure. Luke Connolly, Josiah Bosch, and Josh Pulis haven't yet been on my show or Jonah's show yet. Well, they actually, Luke and Josiah have, but
And
great
Josh.
friends of ours, and
Josh has been on. Josh has been on Hot Take.
great friends of ours. And speaking of Josh, we'd like to welcome him to the show. He will be joining shortly. There he is. What's up, buddy?
There's
How
the
you
man.
doing?
The man, the myth, the legend is
There
in.
we go, guys.
He's
So
back.
let's go right into it, Jonah. I'm giving you control of the car, bud.
All right. Well, we've seen so far this week since we last uploaded our hot take podcast over here that things have gotten a little bit crazy in the NHL. Last week when we did the pod, we ended the trade deadline edition, and as soon as we did that, Anthony Mantha got traded to the Washington Capitals. And so far he's been starting pretty good with Washington, but not as hot as Jacob Vrana has started with the Capitals. He's got 7 goals in his first 6 games with Detroit, including a 4-goal game against my team, the Dallas Stars. That was not fun to watch, but even still, we'll be all right. It'll be fine. But that's
You sure about that,
kinda,
Jonah?
yes, yeah.
Sure about that?
It'll be okay. But we did see something pretty incredible last week, and that was the Vancouver Canucks finally came back from their COVID pause, and they beat the Leafs twice in a row and then somehow lost to Ottawa. So, gentlemen, I want to get your thoughts on Vancouver. How will they have to perform, one, to make the playoffs, but two, how incredible of a story would it be if they made a run?
That'd be phenomenal if they made a run into the playoffs after missing all that time and then beating the best team in the division and then going on a run. I mean, they're only 8 games behind, so crazier things have happened. I'd say it's definitely a possibility.
Just you're very quick to kind of not hate on the Leafs, but criticize the Maple
I'm
Leafs.
just very critical of them because my expectations for the Leafs are a lot higher now than they have been. So, like winning regular season games and winning the division, like I'm not surprised at that.
So when
That's fair.
When you saw the Leafs obviously get swept by the Canucks, but then they swept the Jets in pretty dominant fashion, is this cause for concern if you're a Leaf fan?
I wouldn't. So the wins against the Jets were very confidence boosting. The Jets are a very good team, and Toronto dealt with them. So, but then again, the losses to Vancouver like kind of makes you wonder if this team gets to that point in the playoffs against a team like Tampa Bay or Vegas. Like Toronto on paper, this team could win the Stanley Cup. There's no doubt in my mind. But it's the same story year in year out. So I have a lot of more confidence in this team than I have in previous years. But I wouldn't say it's cause for concern, but I'd say that this team isn't perfect.
Yeah, and in no iteration is it perfect, right? Like we've seen that the Leafs can have a really bad stretch, but man, Vancouver, I don't know what it is about them, and especially if Montreal keeps losing. Montreal is really faltering right now, and it's starting to look a little bit like, especially if Calgary wins tonight. That's why I'm wearing the Flames gear today. If Calgary wins tonight and they move themselves to within 4 points of Montreal and having the
Within 2 points.
tiebreaker, 2 points,
They're within 4 points right now.
They're within 4 points. Are they within 4?
Yeah, they are. It's 49 and 45.
I should know. I have the standings here.
That's right now.
I should know this. I have the
I'm looking
standings
at it right now.
literally right here.
Yeah.
So they're within 4 points already, and Vancouver's within 8. So the thing is with Vancouver, they have to hope that somehow Calgary wins out the rest of the season series against Montreal and then loses every other one of their games for the remainder of the season. But the fact that Vancouver's even put themselves in this situation is really impressive. And I'm really looking forward to seeing them run down the stretch. And Calgary, man, I don't know what it is about Calgary where they can go 6-2 against the Canadians in a season and lose so badly against everybody else. Like it doesn't make sense to me, but we'll see how it goes. Please, Vancouver, please.
Let's talk about Montreal for a sec. They have 4 more games against the Leafs this season. So if the Leafs are able to win at least 3 of those games and Vancouver can win their next 3, not only does that give Vancouver a chance, but it shows that Montreal does the same thing every year. Luke, we saw it last year where Montreal kind of fizzled out at the end there, despite having such a strong start. Is this just a thing for Montreal? We talk about the Leafs choking in the first round, but Montreal always seems to start strong and just ends on a very sour note.
Yeah, it seems to be a pattern that we've been noticing over the past couple of years, and honestly, I think it's going to happen again this year. I know there's been a few people had some high expectations on Montreal. I know there was a lot of people actually picked this team to be up near the top with Toronto, but I personally had them missing the playoffs when I made my preseason predictions, and I think that's what's going to happen. We're going to see them falter, and who's going to get that 4th spot? Honestly, I don't know, and honestly, I don't think I'd want to be that 4th team right now. Having to go up against Toronto in the first round of the playoffs would not be fun, but it's going to be definitely going to be an interesting race for sure down the stretch. And I mean, it would be awesome to see Vancouver pull off the run after all they've been through, but having to play, if they play all of their remaining 15 games over these next couple of weeks, it's going to be brutal.
Well, and Vancouver has 4 of those games are against Edmonton. There's 3 more against Ottawa, and then they have 3 against Toronto as well.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very uphill climb. And they have a couple. Yeah.
Ottawa's handled teams pretty well throughout the course of the season since their fairly cold start. Let's be very clear. They did not start well, but so far going down the stretch, they have been working really hard and winning games that, frankly, they have no business to win, especially with their goalie situation right now.
Yeah, they've entered pesky Sens mode, and when they do that, they're pretty tough to beat.
That's Luke Connolly, the Sens fan.
All right. The sicko Sens.
If Matt Murray could do that all season, then there'd be really no issue with the Senators, and they'd be in a playoff contention right now.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, I want to know from you, who is the playoff team out of those 3, Vancouver, Calgary, and Montreal?
Well, you know what? It's been a consistent story for each of them. You can make a case and say, oh, that team should be in or that team should be in. But as of right now, siding with what Vancouver's went through over the past season, COVID's hurt them and everything else. So I'm actually going to side with the Canucks. They were in my top 4 from the beginning of the projections, and I'm not putting them away just yet. And as you guys have been saying, the Canadians are playing the Maple Leafs the 4 times in these next span of games. So that's going to be a problem. And Calgary's just been in and out. And I'm sorry that you're repping the jersey today, but I'm going to go against them. And I have to say the Canucks are going to take that 4th seed to play the Maple Leafs in the first round. That's the easiest prediction.
You know, you'd think with an 8-point gap between them and Montreal, there'd be a little bit more hesitancy, but that 5 games in hand is really making it look a lot better for the Canucks right now. Yeah. And I sure hope that they get there, but I think if Montreal keeps playing the way that they will, and after selling at the deadline, I think Calgary is going to get in. I don't know how I'm saying it at this point in the season, but with 9 games left and I think 3 more against Montreal, or no, it's not 3 more against Montreal. I'm dumb. They look like they're going to be the team that's going to make it, and that is if Montreal doesn't start performing, and especially if Carey Price doesn't come back from his concussion.
Well, the one point I do want to make is I think people are. No, I'm not saying you guys, but people just in general are forgetting that Vancouver has missed. They have 6 games just in limbo. Yeah. So let's say Vancouver played those 6 games and they split them. They win 3, lose 3, maybe an overtime loss. They're tied with Montreal.
Yep.
So that extra 6 games could be huge. Even if they don't win them all, even if they just win like 2 or 3, that puts them at a huge advantage because if they win those, they're above Calgary, and now they have an extra chip on their shoulder. So I'm going to agree with Josh. I'm going Vancouver.
And guys, take in. They're doing this without Elias Pettersson,
who is
Like,
not
yeah,
going to be coming
who's-
back before the end of the regular season.
right? You got your Calder Trophy winner just out on the side with an injury. It's unfortunate, but it's impressive that through adversity, this team is just proving that they can do it all. And with these 4 points, it's going to be crucial, right?
Yeah, and you'd sure hope that they figure out how to get past whatever demons they have left over from the beginning of the year, because it was a really tough start to the year for Vancouver. Let's not forget. But it seems like they may have an outside chance, and I'm going to say outside for now because despite having 5 games in hand, they're still 8 points back, right? Like and it's all going to come back to, and I love harping on this, especially this season, is how many games Montreal's lost in overtime. They're giving up 9 extra points. That's the difference. That's literally the difference between them being a top 3 team in the North and being on the bubble and possibly missing.
Well, I think
Like if you take away half those overtime games, they're right beside Vancouver.
yeah, and I think Montreal's big
But
problem.
then again, if you win half those games, they're right above Winnipeg. So
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think goaltending is the biggest issue there. And we look at Carey Price, and ever since his injury in 2014 from Chris Kreider, we all remember that we all remember that
Very
one.
well.
Dustin Tokarski had to come in for
Yeah.
that conference final.
They've been like in and out with him. They haven't given him enough rest. They really expect him to play when he's in concussion protocol, when his legs are hurting him. Like this is the difference between the Leafs and what they've done with Anderson compared to what Montreal's done with Carey Price. And Anderson is taking the rest of the year off to kind of get better ready for the playoffs. Well, Carey Price is going to come back, and all it takes is one hit, one shot, and that's it. That could be it for him.
it's funny that you mentioned the overtime games because even though Montreal's lost 9, they're still not the worst overtime team in the league.
True.
You didn't have to go
I'm sorry,
there,
Jonah.
Joe.
I'm sorry.
You
I
didn't
had
have to go there. But
Saw that one coming.
I do
Yeah,
want to
I know, come on.
stay in the North quickly before we move off. Toronto, they've been very hot and cold recently, especially with the goaltending. Dave Riddick did not have a good second outing with the Leafs.
No save Dave.
I will no save Dave. I like it. But I did just see a tweet from Chris Johnston saying Frederick Anderson skated for 90 minutes today with the Leafs practice, their taxi squad, as well as skated by himself. And he says he wants to play games before the playoffs begin.
You should.
Do we
should. You
think
don't-
this is a reality, or is this just wishful thinking on his part?
No, I think he's definitely ready. And I think the problem with him, if they don't play him until the playoffs, is he's coming into the playoffs cold. He hasn't played for over 2 months, and you're expecting a guy to go back into net and take like 30 shots a night. Like they need to play him. The only reason they aren't is because it goes to the cap. And then what are they going to do with Riddick? They got Riddick, and now they're just going to put him on the taxi squad, which I guess is like,
and like if the Leafs go down, like if Anderson comes in and starts cold and the Leafs go down 1 or 2 games,
that could be it.
I don't know if I trust this team to overcome that because they haven't really like been in that position.
Yeah.
Is it
They
is it
haven't,
really
like,
worth it though? Is it
That's
really
what I
worth it
mean, like-
when the Maple Leafs are kind of guaranteed a playoff spot and like running into it like
But-
healthy would be the main priority?
But I don't think you can just say, okay, Freddie, you haven't played 2 months. You're going in for game 1. You need to give him at least 2 games.
I'd give Freddie at least a game or 2.
Game or
Well,
2.
they-
Yeah.
Well, they have a
Against, like a
stretch.
Montreal or like an
Yeah.
Ottawa or something like that.
Yeah,
Someone's
but-
gonna give him a little bit of a night.
Play even if they want to play him against like a Vancouver or like you said Ottawa, a team that's not in the playoff contention or playoff hunt right now, just for like a little warm up. Even because if you put him in a team against like Winnipeg or Edmonton right off the bat, good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, Connor McDavid's gonna be icing things from the blue line.
Yeah. Like you
Which-
don't want to do that to Freddie, especially like with his confidence a little shattered right now, especially how well Jack Campbell has been playing as of late, despite that little slump he had in the middle there. So I have a feeling a lot of fans will probably not like the idea of bringing Freddie back because of what he's been in, how inconsistent he's been this year. But I think he's the guy that you got to start in the playoffs. He's got that experience.
Yeah. And Joe brought up a point I did want to ask you guys about. Once again, I forgot about this one, but I shouldn't have. Connor McDavid, gentlemen,
Yeah.
has 77 points this season.
13 ahead of second place.
13 ahead of his
Oh my
teammate,
goodness.
Leon Draisaitl, for second place. The Oilers undoubtedly have the best offensive duo in the league, the best player, and I just want to know, and with 11 games left for Edmonton, can Connor McDavid in a 56-game season reach 100 points?
I could.
He needs 23 in 11 games.
23 and 11 games.
You know what? Nothing's impossible with how he's
Well,
played
okay,
this
Connor
season.
McDavid could. There's no doubt about that. But
Yeah,
like, if there's anyone in the league who can, it's Connor McDavid. But
Yeah.
that's exactly what I was gonna say.
yeah, I mean, 23 points in 11 games is pretty tough, though. That's what I put up in NHL 21 in my like.
That's what we call 2 points per game, ladies and gentlemen.
But look at this season so far. Like, it's so unpredictable. Arizona's in a final playoff spot. You have like a four-way race where Boston could be on the outside of the playoffs. It's so possible.
I would love to see that.
So
I would be
here-
happy to see that too, because everyone in Toronto hates Boston.
It's New York time, baby.
Yeah.
The sad thing, and we'll get to that. But the
Rangers
sad thing
are-
is for McDavid is that his last 11 games with the Oilers, Winnipeg twice, Calgary twice, Vancouver 4 straight times, then Montreal twice, and Vancouver again on the last day of the season. So that's going to be really tough, especially against Montreal, to put up points, because Montreal has been able to handle the Oilers pretty well this year. But it is possible, man, especially with 5 games against Vancouver, who is not a very good
I was going to say
defensive
McDavid
team.
usually has a field day in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the big problem with that remaining schedule for McDavid is no games against the punching bag that have been the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah, for them especially, 9-0
Yeah.
this season, literally not even letting a game go to overtime.
You know what? I think he could have done it had the Leafs not shut them down in that 3-game series. There was like what? They only
Yeah,
got like 1
that's
point in
true.
that 3-game series.
I think it was
I think it was
1 point.
Draisaitl who got that point. too.
Yeah,
I
it was
don't think-
Draisaitl. So if I think that 3-game series will be the make or break as to whether or not he gets it or not.
I would predict he finishes with like 94.
Yeah,
Which is-
94 maybe.
incredible,
Which is still incredible.
ridiculous.
Which is still ridiculous.
Yeah, that's stupid numbers. Holy shit.
What did Leon Draisaitl get last year? Wasn't it like 117 points or something ridiculous like that?
You guys keep
think
talking. I'm going to do something.
71
I think
games.
Draisaitl had.
It was about 110 or so.
He had a ton of points, and he was in 71 games, and we all thought this is as good as it gets. But no, Connor McDavid's almost on a 2-point per game pace this season, which is ridiculous, flat out cartoonish.
Yeah, it was 110 last year for Draisaitl.
Okay, thank you.
There you
Josh was
go.
right. I want to move on to the Mass Mutual East. I still love saying that name. The standings right now is hilarious. Is the bottom 2 teams are easily the bottom 2 teams, and that is the New Jersey Devils and Buffalo Sabres. Although, believe it or not, Buffalo has now caught New Jersey and are 2 points back of New Jersey right now.
Wait, I just want to make one last point on McDavid. I just
Yep.
did the math. If it was an 82-game schedule, he'd be on pace for 145.
Oh my goodness.
That's
Just,
What was the last
little
time we saw
point there,
that?
like-
cartoon. That's
And
a
he beat
cartoon.
on, and there's like other teams like Arizona and like Sharks and the Ducks and like the whole like Pacific he would beat up on.
Yeah.
Oh
I
god.
can't
All right,
believe that.
continue.
That's-
I just wanted to say that.
So Buffalo, New Jersey, not good. It looks like New Jersey's actually on a
Buffalo's not good. What?
10+ game losing skid.
they're pretty
right now, the
good.
Devils are.
Yeah, the Devils are on a 10-game skid.
Yeah, 10-game
Oof.
losing skid for the Devs.
That's bad. And Buffalo's 4-5-1 in their last 10. Buffalo's coming
Playoff
back.
time.
They're coming back.
So is
They're
Buffalo
coming
finally
back.
back ahead of the Seattle Kraken in the power rankings?
Yes, they are. Actually, they made
I
it all
don't-
the way up to 25th last.
I don't even know about that. The Sabres over the. Well, I guess it all depends on what happens with Eichel.
Yeah.
They're
There's like
actually.
Ristolainen in the offseason.
You guys know the hockey guy, right? Like you know who the hockey guy is.
Of course we do.
So he was the one who originally put Buffalo behind Seattle when they were in that 18-game skid.
Oh my
This week they
goodness.
were 25th. So
Okay.
Progress.
Who was
rising
under
up.
them?
That's
Um,
amazing.
Ottawa,
Devils, probably.
all 3 California teams, and I think who was the last one? I
New
can't
Jersey?
remember.
Detroit?
Probably the
Jersey.
Devils.
Yep, New Jersey was the other one. Detroit was ahead of them.
Detroit's been
Detroit's
good.
been playing good. Detroit's been playing good outside of their games against the Stars for whatever reason, other than that one game. But keeping to the East, this race for first between the Penguins and the Capitals, we're turning back the clock here. Like this is phenomenal to watch. And Sidney Crosby looks energized. Jake Gensel looks amazing. And then for Washington, Ovechkin, even though he didn't play last night, has been ridiculous. And then there's Nicholas Backstrom. And like I said, Anthony Mantha has been good for them. Who out of those two teams takes the division crown with the Islanders slipping right now?
Pittsburgh.
I would probably have to lead towards the Penguins as well. I just think
Look at the game yesterday. 1-0 win. Tristan Jarry looks like a legit starter now.
Over Boston.
Over Boston too. That was important. The Rangers won, Boston lost. So now it's like there's only like a 4-point gap between those.
It is a 4-point gap.
we would never expect the Bruins to play like this, would we, guys?
And
I had them missing the playoffs at the beginning of the season. And I did.
Wow.
I'll mention later on what it would have to take for the Rangers to make the playoffs, but right now that number 1 and 2 race is going to be ridiculous. And I believe, if I'm correct, and I'll have to check this, that Pittsburgh can actually clinch a playoff spot tomorrow if the Rangers lose. So that'll be very interesting to see. But I mean, gentlemen, what are we thinking of the Boston Bruins right now? They had won 7 in a row going into a game 2 nights ago against Buffalo, and now they've lost 2 straight against Buffalo and against Pittsburgh. What do we say to describe the Boston Bruins this season?
The Boston Sabres. Imagine losing to Buffalo.
I think disappointing would be the best word.
Yeah. It's not
surprising
their fault, though. Tuukka Rask has missed most of the season.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I guess it is their fault because excuses. Injuries aren't an excuse.
No, but we alluded to it the last time we were on the podcast, guys, and we said that there was many injuries on the team. They haven't looked themselves, right?
Yeah.
They're not consistent. I think that's the best way to put them, right? You guys just said that they won 7 in a row and losing a couple against the Sabres, a couple against the Penguins. Like they're just not proving that they're the same team as they used to be, right? Not at all.
And David Pastrnak doesn't look like the goal scorer he was last year and the year before, right? Like he's looked, since coming back from that injury, he's looked, well, basically like what his contract pays him to be. Just an average goal scoring winger. Like it's not something that I was expecting from Pastrnak, although Brad Marchand's having a phenomenal year. He's just the only one really, really producing for the Bruins, and it's really hurting them right now.
And we've seen multiple times over is just Edmonton aside, is one player can't win you like that many games because McDavid is a completely different person. But what happens when playoffs come and everyone else goes cold and it's only one player? Like Edmonton can't go 7 games against a team like Toronto.
Especially without McDavid and Draisaitl.
You can have a feeling here like we can't shy away from what the Bruins have done in the postseason the last couple of years, right?
Oh, of course.
Making it to the Stanley Cup final. So it's a surprise right now, but if they make it in with that 4th or 3rd seed, we don't know just yet. They might do some damage. That's all we got to think of, right?
I'm just looking at my preseason predictions for this division, and I could not have been more wrong. I had Washington winning.
I think I'm with you on that one, Joe.
Okay. I had Washington, then Philadelphia.
I think I had Philadelphia 1. Yeah, I had Philadelphia.
I think a lot of people were high on Philadelphia coming into the season.
I had Philadelphia, then I had Boston, the Islanders, Penguins, Rangers, Devils, Sabres. So not terrible, but man, Philadelphia.
Well, a lot of people had the Penguins missing because they're getting old, and then they lost Matt Murray and their Stanley Cup goaltender, and then I
didn't think they were going to be this good. I thought they were going to be like a fringe playoff team.
Well, look at Crosby. His 16th season straight he's a point per game player, which is absolutely ridiculous. I think a lot of people overlook that a lot of the time.
Yeah, I look, this is the stupidest prediction I think I've ever made. By the way, my East was Philadelphia, Boston, Washington, Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Oh, wait. We
I
need a
saw the
reasoning
ads.
here, Jonah.
I saw the ads at the beginning of the year of Taylor Hall, and I thought this team was playoff ready, especially after the way they started the last 2 seasons before this one. I thought that was something that would keep them consistent, like they could replicate and be consistent over a full season with good goaltending, but not there.
But
It
so
also-
they had
it
2
also
seasons,
stands-
2 back-to-back seasons with 10-game winning streaks to start the season, and then they completely fizzled out. What made you
Yep.
think it was going to change this year?
Finishing sixth.
What
in
made
the
me
division.
think it was going to change was a good year from Jack Eichel, obviously, a
Mhm.
breakout year from Sam Reinhart, which he is having,
Yep.
and a good year from Victor Olofsson, which is happening.
But goaltending
Eichel's-
is the big problem.
Eichel's out of the lineup, and their goaltending actually started to play well. That's the key, because I predicted at the beginning of the year that Linus Ullmark would be really good. But I also predicted Carter Hutton would be passable as a backup, and that he has not been at all. I thought their team defense was going to be better with Jake McCabe and Rasmus Dahlin. It's taken them a long time to figure that out for whatever reason.
And then they traded
And-
Brandon Montour.
And then Montour was an offensive defenseman. I don't think he fit into their long-term plans, but I can still see like why I was optimistic about Buffalo, and I still am optimistic about Buffalo going forward into next season, because if you look at their division, the weak team outside of them is New Jersey.
Yeah.
I don't know why I predicted Buffalo to make the playoffs. I'll say that much in this division. In the old Atlantic, I could see it a little bit more, which is the hilarious part, because you got Toronto, Florida, and Tampa from
And
that
Boston.
division.
Yep.
And Boston too, yeah. So, I mean, they could have been a 5th seed if they were like the old divisions were the way they were, but that's kind of how I saw it.
Okay.
I'll say actually kind of proud of my Central Division picks, and okay, the West isn't great. I mean, I had Vegas, Colorado 1-2,
Yeah, I had Colorado Vegas 1-2.
St. Louis 3,
Yeah.
and San Jose 4.
Oh,
I
didn't
had
have
Minnesota at 3.
I had them
I
at
don't know why.
Minnesota. And that's actually a great transition, because we're going to go to the West now and talk about those teams, especially because Vegas, Colorado, Minnesota have all clinched playoff berths, and they're the only teams in the league to do so.
They are
So-
leagues ahead of everyone else in terms of talent and skill. Like
It is hilarious how much better Minnesota has gotten over the course of 1 year.
all it takes is
Yeah.
like Cam Talbot to get hot and
Kirill Kaprizov.
Yeah, that guy's pretty good.
yeah, he's okay. I guess.
Kaprizov is not bad at hockey. You know, he's all right.
Nah, he's only carrying that team to a playoff. Yeah, that's
He's
true.
Yeah, I'm really
Like-
worried that he's gonna injure his back.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's likely going to win the Calder, and actually Minnesota right now is 1 point back of Colorado for second in the West right
Holy
now.
Oh yeah, I'd love to see. It doesn't matter. I still think Colorado and Minnesota will play each other.
But here's the
There's no
funny
question.
thing. Minnesota's goal differential is plus 28. You want to know what Colorado's is?
It's gonna be stupid.
Plus 53.
Yep.
It's dumb. Anaheim
Yeah.
has a minus 51, by the way. That's worse than the league behind.
Also, just as note, Kaprizov has scored a goal in each of his last 5 games.
So if you're betting,
Ridiculous.
bet on Kaprizov. Just do it.
Who would have
Um,
thought this guy from Russia is gonna do so well?
That's exactly what everybody said about Artemi Panarin. And that's
Yeah.
exactly who I compare this to. He is unbelievable. And he made Minnesota fun to watch again.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
I
it.
expected Kaprizov to be good, but not this good. Like I thought he was going to be like a decent player. First year in the NHL.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was going to be 40 points.
Oh, but he was in the talks for the Calder, right? So
Oh, Kaprizov
Yeah, I
is
think
going
the
to win the Calder.
projection before the season had him at like 5th on the odds. That's what I saw at least. I don't know if that's-
really, I know I saw. Well, I bet you saw it a little differently, but I saw 1 or 2, right?
Yeah, no,
I
I
saw-
saw
I
lower. I
saw-
saw 4 or 5. But
Yeah, I saw Kevin Lankin and he went on a pretty good tear with the Blackhawks. I saw him doing pretty well, but then Kaprizov just kind of took over from there.
For a player who's picked in the 5th round is very impressive.
That's a great
was-
deal.
Yeah.
That was 2015. Like it's taken this long for him to
Yeah.
finally develop into the
But,
NHL.
but we know sometimes that you need to go back and play somewhere else. Like, what's his name from the Kings? Byram, I think it was. He didn't play with the Kings right away. He went right
Um,
down to the AHL affiliate to play there.
You mean Quentin Byfield?
Byfield.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Byfield.
Yeah.
Bowen Byram plays for Colorado.
Colorado. I
was
know.
gonna say,
I knew
you
that.
of all people should know that.
I
Jake.
knew that. I forgot. But yeah,
That's your
sometimes
half team, Jake.
It's not, it's not a half team. Okay, hold up. Jonah is 2 teams as well. Why the hell you're not chastising him?
Because I don't see Jonah every day.
Wait, no, Jake, I walked by your laptop one time and I saw a Colorado Avalanche.
Buddy, that's my screensaver.
I was a
He
little
has 2
surprised.
teams. I say you can't have 2 teams.
You can't have 2 teams in the same division.
Yeah.
Who made that rule?
Okay, so here's the thing. Here's my rule for
Oh, he did. His rule.
cheering
Never
for
mind.
teams. This is me. If you're gonna cheer for 2 teams, don't cheer for 2 teams in the same conference.
The same conference.
I mean, I have a team, and then I have other teams that like I don't mind. Like I'm a Saints
no,
fan,
no,
but I
that's-
don't mind the
that's okay.
Seahawks.
That's okay. That doesn't bother me.
I wouldn't
When
say
you
I'm a
have
Seahawks fan.
favorite. When you have 2 teams that you actively cheer for, that's when it becomes like a
I don't approve.
I don't
don't
approve
care.
of this. Then it becomes a I'm your father and I disapprove of this situation.
Anyway, let's continue.
Disapprove of it. Both my teams are going to make the playoffs. So
How about the hottest team in the league, ladies and gentlemen?
Toronto
They've
Maple
won
Buffalo Sabres.
9 in a row.
Oh.
They are 9-1-0 in their last 10, obviously, because
New York
they-
Knicks?
No, not basketball.
Not wrong.
This is
Not
the
wrong, though.
Vegas.
Am I wrong? Am I
Vegas
wrong?
Golden Knights. The Vegas Golden Knights, gentlemen.
Greatest
And
franchise in NHL history.
still not going to win the cup.
what's happening?
They're winning.
Is Vegas just a
They're cracked.
they're just black magic.
Hey, I
Well,
get
I
it.
don't
Well,
know
hey,
how
the
else to
Vegas,
explain
the
Vegas.
Golden Knights have never had a bad season ever in the history of the NHL. Let's
No,
be
they're
real.
4 for 4 in their franchise.
Yeah, they've also lost 3 times in the playoffs. So
Yeah, they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals once. The conference finals.
Conference
Washington-
finals.
let's
Boys,
see.
this team's been a team for 4 years. Let's
I
not
know.
forget. Like they
I
haven't been around
just
for
like
very
to
long.
say the funny thing about it is though that they haven't lost to like teams that have won a lot of Stanley Cups. They lost to Washington for Washington to win their first Stanley Cup in team history. Dallas, who has 1 Stanley Cup in team history, which they
would have
may
had 2,
not
right,
have.
Jonah?
They should not actually have had. They should not have won that Stanley Cup in 1999. I'm going to be completely honest. Or maybe okay, they shouldn't have won that game on that play. Maybe they would have won. I mean, they were the best team in the West, but
Continue.
Whatever the case. and San Jose, who has never won a Stanley Cup.
And never
Is
will.
this the year? Oh,
Hey, not
they-
with this team. Not
if
with
they
this.
beat Colorado, it would be the first time, I believe, in their team's franchise history that they actually beat a team that's won a Stanley Cup. I actually want to see
In the
I wanna
playoffs?
See and know, because I believe in
No, that can't be right.
2018 they
I'm
beat.
looking.
Okay, they beat Los Angeles in the first round. They have 2 Stanley Cups. Ooh.
Buddy.
And then San Jose in the second round and Winnipeg in the third round in 2018. So that's 2 Stanley Cups there of any experience whatsoever. They swept the Kings, by the way. 2019, they lost to the Sharks in the first round. And then last year, they beat Chicago. Okay, so there's 6 total championships. Then they beat Vancouver, who has never won a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And they lost to Dallas. So overall, they beat 2 old cup contenders who won a few cups 5 years ago. I don't know what it is about Vegas. I don't see it.
With the team they have, I don't know. You have to expect this. They have great players. They've had for a couple of years, and they're finally collectively coming together. I think that's how you have to view them, right? Mark Stone's having an insane year. Pacioretty's still scoring at a high pace, right? Guys like Shea Theodore, Jonathan Marchessault, those guys as on the second lines. That's very impressive. So, is it finally the year that Vegas gets over that hump, right? Honestly, a finals appearance would make a lot of sense, right? Again, it could definitely happen. And arguably, I don't know if you guys agree with me here, they have a better team now than they did when they made the Stanley Cup. against
I
the
agree.
Capitals.
Yeah, I agree.
Max Pacioretty. Think of the guys they added since then.
Yeah.
Max Pacioretty, Mark Stone,
Robin Leonard.
Alec Martinez, Alex Petrangelo, Robin Leonard.
Yeah.
What?
I feel
What
like
other team can do that?
I feel like the similarities between Toronto and Vegas are so prominent. Like this is the year. This is the year they have. Like they've been good for so long, but this is finally the year where they've got every piece to figure it out. And I feel like if we see a Toronto Vegas series finals, it would probably go to 7, in my opinion.
I agree.
Vegas, although Vegas does have, let's see, 5 more round wins in the last 4 years than Toronto.
That's
So
true, but they haven't figured it out. Whether they're in the same boat, they haven't won a Stanley Cup in the past 5 years. And this is the year where they have all the keys and all the pieces to make it finally come together.
Yeah, and Vegas is the top team in the league. But would you guys like to know who's second in the league?
Florida, Carolina.
Florida,
That's the
Carolina
Hurricanes.
Yeah.
They
And the
suck.
Central Division, by the way, this 3-horse race is unbelievable. It's ridiculous. The Lightning were really cold for a week. They've got back on their stride. They've won 2 in a row. Carolina's lost 3 games in overtime in their last 10. I don't know what happened there, but 68 points for Carolina, 67 for Florida, and 66 for Tampa Bay. This race is the best in hockey, no?
I
Yeah,
think it
agree.
is.
That Central
Jonah-
Division's skilled.
Jonah, before we
That's simple.
continue, Joe, I know you got to go do some stuff, so I'd like to thank you for joining the show. We'd love to have you again. Take care and stay safe. Until next time, Joe.
I'll be back, boys. Remember, go Panthers.
Oh,
What an exit.
and that has been Josiah Bosch.
Josiah Bosch, CSM student. Thank you for joining us.
And now,
Thank all of
now a
them.
Panthers fan.
Apparently a Panthers fan from what we can tell. But gentlemen, I want to continue on the Central Division. Like the Carolina Hurricanes have been a very good team for the last, 4 or 5 years.
Mhm.
They finally are figuring out how to compete in big games. And I know they lost in the play into Boston last year, for whatever reason, Boston has their number. But this Florida Tampa Bay battle, right now they're slated to play in the first round.
What a series
It's
that would
about
be.
time.
Or make for a
It's about
very
time.
entertaining series.
That's like a rivalry that is so overdue.
Yep, completely agree. Yeah, it is unbelievable how good that all 3 of those teams are, but Florida and Tampa have that built-in geographical rivalry, and games have been physical this year.
Mhm.
So you just love to see it if you're a fan of either of those teams.
You know, the Panthers kind of reminded me of the Wild before the season, it's which they were kind of boring to watch. They could have a few upsets now and then, but now with Barkov and Bobrovsky and all the other guys stepping up and playing, it's definitely
Huberdeau. Here, let me just
Huberdeau,
continue on
yeah.
that list. Huberdeau, Vetrano, Verhaeghe,
like
Patrick Hornquist. Like these are all guys. Sam Bennett now, since he's joined the team, has been really good. So these are the guys that like. If you're a Panthers fan, you've wanted to see this forever, and there's not a lot of Panthers fans. Let's be real, but if you're a hockey fan at large, this is what you've been waiting for Florida, and they haven't won a playoff series in 25 years. It's about time.
Is it the Joel Quenneville effect? Has he really changed the dynamic of this team?
oh yeah, look
I
at
would think so.
he's playing a lot like he used to in Chicago, and he's using every player's talent to the best of their ability. Because you're not going to get the same production out of Huberdeau as you are from Barkov. They're completely different players, but he's using and he's smart with it. And he's doing what he's doing. Like look at that 2015, 2013 Chicago teams that won the Cup. He used guys like he used Taves, and he made sure Taves was on. Like he made sure he won every faceoff he could possibly. He made Kane the absolute dominant on the power play. He gave Seabrook and Keith specific rules to make sure no one got past that iron wall. Like he's doing what every coach should do. And it's don't use look at the team. Tortorella, his system didn't work this year because you're benching Line, you scratch Max Domi. That's not going to give their confidence any better than it already is. You're not using the players to the best of the ability. Line is a goal scorer. He is not a penalty killer.
Remember when he said he wanted to make Line a power forward?
Oh, jeez.
That had to be quote of the year. I'm just gonna say it right now. Quote of the year.
So what I'm hearing right now is John Tortorella is a lock for the Jack Adams this year.
Maybe more like the Jackass Award.
Oh,
I don't like him. Listen, I don't like his
Oh.
system. I don't like the way he
I
handles
agree.
himself after losses. I don't like the way he handles his team after losses. Scratching your two best players, one you traded for, and benching him. I don't like it because and it's showing that these old systems, they're not working. Babcock out. Tortorella didn't make the playoffs. Like, these are guys who aren't winning because their systems aren't working.
Yeah.
Like, in order to win, you can't put Matthews and expect him to hit every single game. You can't make Keefe is not looking at Nylander and saying, okay, I want you to go into the boards and do hit. You know that's not his game. He's
No.
saying, get the puck to Tavares, take a shot every now and then, and skate your ass off. That's all you can do. And coaches that are able to do that are able to win and better develop the players so that they can be Stanley Cup ready.
Yeah, and John
Totally agree.
Tortorella and his Columbus Blue Jackets are dead last in the Central Division, even behind the Detroit Red Wings now. So, congratulations, Torts. Your team's going to get a top 5 pick in the draft this year.
He should
That's
not
all
be
I can
coach.
congratulate you on.
He shouldn't be coach. He's just going to drag that team down.
No,
Remember
he's-
Columbus? Remember when Columbus swept the Tampa Bay Lightning like 2 years ago? And now they're
They
a
also
shell.
had Artemi Panarin, Sergei Bobrovsky, Matt Duchene, like all those guys. But, we'll just forget about that, I guess.
Do you think Torts will be back next year?
No.
Probably. The management said they like him.
Uh-huh.
I personally
They-
don't think he should be, but
They
don't
they
want-
like his style. I don't know why they like his style.
It's not,
right?
it's
The
not
farthest
work.
they
Like, look, they're not in the playoffs.
No.
Yeah.
But the farthest they went with him was only to the second round, guys. Like, it wasn't like it's like
No.
an astronomical
Yeah.
race
I know.
here, right? So he's a historic coach. He has that older style to him, right? And it's
Yeah.
just not working in today's NHL.
And the Blue Jackets should have won one of those series against the Penguins and probably that series against the Capitals, too, in 2018. They
Wow.
couldn't
Well, yeah,
win.
they led 2-0, and the Caps went on to win the cup.
Or the
Yep.
Bruins in 2019. So it's just
that
the same
series
story.
too. Columbus
Yeah.
led 2-1 in that series as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Um,
there's only a point. There's a point to where your system works, and then it doesn't.
yeah,
Look at that Toronto series. They easily shut down Toronto. It was,
and then
they
just 2018 in general. Like you look at 2018, the Bruins. We'll say for example, and this is just how a system, how to show how a system can play. The Bruins shut down the Leafs in that series. They barely escaped somehow. The Leafs almost came back, but they shut down the Leafs. And then they got blown out of the building by Tampa Bay in the second round in 5 games. It was easy. And then the same thing happened to Torts with Columbus last year. They beat Toronto with a very sound structural game. Tampa Bay blew them out.
Yep.
That's all that happened. And it just goes to show you that sometimes a system can get tiring and sometimes you need a new voice in the locker room, especially when it's Tortorella, who is notorious for destroying his own players. Before I move on to our next topic, I'd just like to say, Jake, Brandon Saad is now listed out 2 to 4 weeks with a lower body injury. So how do you think that impacts Colorado going forward?
well, they still got the big boys on the first line and second line, so I'm not too worried.
All right. Good. Sounds good.
It doesn't sound worried.
that
He
doesn't,
does
doesn't
not
sound
even
worried.
look
Doesn't
phased.
look worried.
He's
Guys,
not
do
even
I look
phased.
nervous to you?
Not even.
Not at all.
No, not at
No
all.
face, nothing. Just
I'd almost say you
line
look a little
quick.
bit cocky there.
They're in
Wow.
the playoffs. They're in the playoffs, and that's all I care about right now. Saad,
That's
take
fair.
your time, buddy. It's gonna be a nice ride against the Wild.
Mm.
Oh, all right. So before I move on to baseball, and we've been doing this for almost 50 minutes already, I think.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time on hockey.
We don't have to spend too much time on baseball.
I wanted to read to you guys the gaps between the 3rd and 4th place teams in all the divisions,
Here we
and you're
go.
gonna laugh at a couple of them. So 3rd in the North is Edmonton with 56. Montreal 7 points behind them with 49. So that's a pretty big gap. Edmonton's
Yep.
pretty safe in 3rd. They might even get 2nd. They're only 1 point behind the Jets.
And
Go
the
to the
Jets lost
East.
Healers for the season, so
Yep.
Yeah.
So then
We'll
we
be back
go
for
to
the
the
playoffs.
East. The New York Islanders are third. They have 63 points right now, on a bit of a slide. The Boston Bruins are fourth with 60. And just keep in mind the Rangers also have 56. So they could, in theory, knock the Islanders out as well if they keep playing like they have been. Here's where things get goofy. Tampa Bay, third in the Central with 66 points. And Nashville, sorry, I don't know why I was about to say Florida. Nashville is fourth with 54. So it's a 12-point gap.
Wow.
Dallas is fifth with 52. Chicago, sixth with 49. So that's a big gap. But here's the biggest gap. Minnesota with 65 points. And then the Arizona Coyotes with 47.
Wow.
That is an 18-point gap between the third and fourth place team.
What happened in
That's
the West
hilarious.
Division?
So San Jose was competitive, and then it wasn't. Same with LA. And then Arizona and St. Louis are just going to be in a turtle battle to see who gets the fourth seed. Although St. Louis has games in hand, so we'll see how that goes. Although another caveat to my own caveat, Arizona has the tiebreaker because they won the season series with St. Louis.
That's going to play in for sure.
That's a big piece. All right, time to move on to the MLB. And gentlemen, it has been, well, to say a wild first 25 games is pretty standard. There's been a lot going on. I just want to run division by division and then just read off the stupidity that is the playoff seeding in the American League specifically, because it's just hilarious to look at what teams are in playoff position right now. So we'll get started with the AL East, which is at the top of my list. We've got the Boston Red Sox, who are 14-9. They've been a little cold recently. They're 5-5 in their last 10. Not exactly the same as their start to the season, but they've been playing better.
The top division, just like everyone predicted.
Oh, yes, everyone, definitely.
A lot of people predicted, right?
Lucas Fleming predicted that. Let's just go with that. The Tampa Bay Rays are 11-11. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They've been pretty good. However, their run differential's -5 for second place. That's not great,
sucks, yo.
especially when Boston's is +20 this early in the season. And the next team, despite owning a 10-11 record and a 5-5 record in their last 10, a +11 run differential, and that's the Toronto Blue Jays. Believe it or not, they are third in the American League in run differential, despite being third in the American League East as a division. So they've been playing good. They've blown out teams, and now you know what? I'm gonna stop what I'm saying right now just to say they beat the Angels 15-1. So that would probably be why they are +11 rather than somewhere under. The Baltimore Orioles and the New York Yankees are both tied at 9-12, just like everyone predicted.
Yep.
4-6 in their last 10, both of them, just like everyone predicted. And Baltimore has a better run differential. That's hilarious. Just what is going on with the Yankees, guys? Like, what is happening in the Bronx?
I don't know, but I love it.
Called being overrated.
Ooh, Jake, you have any more thoughts you want to share about the Yankees?
Yeah, they're overrated. People gave them far too much credit. They have Garrett Cole, and then they have Judge and Sanchez. Okay.
Stanton?
You could say Stanton, but he hasn't been playing
Where's he
well
been?
this season.
You tell me.
Gleyber Torres, yeah, he's kind of been a little all over the place.
So, yeah, all over. That is a good way to describe it. They are all over the place.
Yeah.
Yep. And their pitching especially has been all over the place. It has not been good.
Yeah,
Actually,
a lot of people
you know what?
are like, oh, their pitching is the best in the AL East.
No, sorry. It's not actually their pitching. I apologize for that, for reading that wrong. It's their hitting.
Yeah.
They
their hitting's
have
a huge
scored the second least amount of runs in the American League behind only everyone's favorite team, the Detroit Tigers.
Oh, like everyone predicted.
So they've scored less runs than the Orioles.
Not the greatest comparison here. Yeesh.
Less runs somehow than the Cleveland Indians, and less runs than the Texas Rangers,
Eek.
whose pitching has been horrendous, by the way, but we'll get to that. Now to the AL Central. The Kansas City Royals, gentlemen, are first in the AL Central, just like I predicted. No, I didn't predict that. I said they'd be good. Honestly, I still laugh when I think back to Jack saying they're not even going to be a third place team over Cleveland.
Yeah, I know.
Kansas City 13-7. They have a +3 run differential. That's not great, but they have won 4 in a row and are 7-3 in their last 10. So they're on a bit of a hot streak right now. Another team that's on a bit of a hot streak and is right on their tail is the Chicago White Sox, who started the season really, really poorly under their new manager, but now own the best run differential in the American League. They're the exact same as Kansas City, 7-3 in their last 10, and they've won 4 in a row. And I just want to get you guys, before I move on quickly, to guess who's the third team in the Central. Don't bring the standings up because I know one of you.
I have the
is
standings
thinking
up, so
about
I'm out of this one.
I have no idea.
Well, okay, it's definitely not the Twins.
No, it is not the Twins. You're right.
So I would say right now it's probably the Indians.
Yeah, it's the Cleveland
Yeah.
Indians.
Which isn't a huge surprise either.
They are 9-11. Their run differential is 0. Their hitting's been horrible, but their pitching's been good.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds about right for Cleveland. They're 3-7 in their last 10. They started the season pretty hot, but they have not been good as of late. And then somehow the Minnesota Twins 7-13, 2-8 in their last 10. Ice cold, and I don't understand why. Do you guys have anything for me on the Twins?
It's been their hitting. They've had mixed emotions the whole year, right? But they do have some positives, right? Nelson Cruz
Is still good.
still playing so well for how
Maybe
long
he
he's been
is
in the league.
father time.
Definitely no. Like he's been in the league for too long, and he's playing like this. Like it's actually very impressive. And then a guy, one of the best hitters in the league, and like as of right now, is Byron Buxton.
Byron Buxton
Yeah,
has been
like
unbelievable.
yep, honestly, great hitter, but a great center fielder. So it's a mix and match for the Twins right now, but they do have positives to cover over their negatives. But it's still so early to tell for that team.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, as we all figured, the Detroit Tigers are 7-15. They're not very good. They've lost 4 in a row. They've won 1 game in their last 10, and sport a negative 37 run differential this early in the season.
Is that good?
The Tigers are terrible.
It's
They're
been
awful.
too long. It's been too long since the Tigers, since the city of Detroit's seen a good baseball team. Right?
Yeah,
It's been seen a good team in general.
Yeah, a good team in general, not just baseball.
The Pistons and the Red Wings have let them down for the last 10 years.
Don't forget the Lions.
Oh yeah, the Lions. Well, the Lions
Yeah.
are.
They're on a different level of.
They're on a Cleveland Browns level now.
We'll be talking about these teams in a little bit.
We'll talk about these teams in a little bit because they'll be pretty high in the draft order. The AL West is just stupid funny. We all figured the Texas Rangers would be last, I think.
Yep.
Negative 18 run differential. Their pitching has given up a lot of runs. They've given up a ton of runs as a staff. They've lost 3 in a row. But Houston, they're 10-11, and their hitting's been great. Their pitching's been meh. Their run differential is +18, but that's because of 2 blowout games, one against the Angels and one against Oakland. And they're just cold. What's gone on in Houston?
No more garbage cans.
Yeah,
Exactly what I was gonna say.
they're not cheating anymore, and we're seeing what's
And
happening.
we see it. They're not cheating, and we can see it.
Yeah. Well, that was a while ago already. I don't know if we can really mention that. It's still going to be an ongoing
Well,
problem,
here's
right?
the thing, and I agree, Josh. They're actually tied. Not tied. Sorry, they're tied for second in the majors in runs for.
Yeah.
Like,
See,
they're
they have
not-
guys who can still
They're
hit.
not a bad offensive team. It's just they're not a good pitching team.
Yeah, their pitching is very sus.
Like I said at the beginning of the year, and the hilarious part is though they're still the best team in the division as far as pitching goes, which is stupid but also funny. The Angels are third. They're 10-10, 3-7 in their last 10 though. They're not playing very well. They've given up 114 runs this season as a staff. That's bad. I don't know if you guys knew that. That's terrible.
That
The-
is that
But
is
like their pitching is off too, right? Like I'd say the
That's
best
correct.
pitch. I don't know if you guys would agree. Like best pitcher on that team, other than Otani, would be probably who Andrew Heaney, maybe Griffin Canning.
Yeah, I was gonna say Griffin Canning, and that's definitely not a ring endorsement. Rizal Iglesias is probably their second best pitcher, and he's a
Yeah.
bullpen arm. So
Yeah.
that's not great for them. What is a good story so far is Anthony Castrovince is right, gentlemen. The Seattle Mariners are 13-9, sport a 6-4 record in their last 10,
Yeah.
and are actually playing at a respectable level. I'm going to be honest, as much as I like Seattle, and I think I said they'd be fourth still. I think I said that behind the Astros, Angels, and Athletics. They have been turning some heads this year, especially with the young play once again of Kyle Lewis.
Yeah.
That guy's unbelievable.
For sure. And then another Kyle on the team, Kyle Seager. Did we expect him to lead this team like this? And it's been so long since
Mitch
Seattle's
Haniger
team
as well. Oh,
since Seattle's seen a team like this, right? JP Crawford on that team. Ty France is actually having a breakout season. So there's a lot of positives on that team, and if it's not the Athletic, probably I don't know if they're gonna win that division, but definitely a wild card. Like it's possible.
yeah. And then number one is the absolute hottest pistol in baseball, which is the Oakland Athletics.
Yeah.
They are 9-1 in their last 10, but that doesn't tell the whole story. They started the season 0-6, and they're now 14-8. They've won 14 of their last 16 games, and they have been unbelievable in those games too. Like, do we start the luckiest team in sports?
They've been good. They've been really good. The Athletics have guys on their team. Like I look at their roster, and it's just a mix of so many different players from so many different teams. That right? Like Elvis Andrews picked them up, right? Playing
They got
well.
Chad Pinder.
Yeah. Mitch Moreland, Matt Olson's having a great season. Jed
Matt
Lowry's really
Chapman's
picked it
still
up.
good.
Yep. So how about them Athletics? You wouldn't really expect this to happen.
Jesus
And
Luzardo, Sean Manaea leading the staff.
yep. And if it wasn't for the Astros last season, they could have went farther.
Yeah,
probably
that
would've
is
gone
it is
farther.
true. And the A's
Yeah.
The A's have a history of choking in the postseason recently. They've not done very well ever since that 2014 wild card game against the Kansas City Royals. That
Oh,
was
man.
tough. And
Yeah.
speaking of those Royals,
Really tough.
if we go to, let me see the league here. The Kansas City Royals are first in the league in winning percentage. So they'd be your Central Division leader. Oakland is the West leader. Boston's the East leader. And then your two wild cards right now are Seattle and Chicago. The White Sox, by the way, not the Cubs. We'll get to them.
Yeah.
How many of these teams actually surprise you with where they are right now, guys?
I would say the only one from the AL East is the Boston Red Sox. Not many people, as Luke said before, everybody predicted them.
Oh, sure.
But we're only kidding there. It would have been the Yankees and the Blue Jays that people would have expected.
Yeah.
But the Red Sox have just been a team that's been in the shadows, right?
They've been
And
working.
if you look at the roster, it's like, they're good, but are they up to the top, right? I don't know if the Red Sox are really going to keep this up for the rest of the season. But when you got guys like J.D. Martinez, Alexander Bogaerts playing like they are, it's a sign of positivity.
Yeah,
it's weird.
And like I was saying about that who's who team is the Kansas City Royals, ladies and gentlemen. Kansas City Royals. Just laugh at the Boston Red Sox too a little bit, and Oakland. Jake, what did you want to say before we move on?
No, it's okay. I totally forgot. I'm having such internet problems right now, bro. It's pissing me off.
I do that on occasion. Let's move to the NL, where we go to the East first, and I'm looking at these standings now, and I really hope they haven't played a lot of interdivision games yet because this looks terrible. The New York Mets are first, like a lot of us predicted. They're 9-8, and they've only scored 56 runs this season, which is by far, okay, maybe not by far, close to by far a major league low. Basically tied with the Nationals is where they are right now. But the Mets are first. They should be. That's kind of how I've seen it. But the second place team is a team I thought would suck. Straight up. They're 10-11, so they're still not great. But it's the Philadelphia Phillies. What's going on in Philadelphia that's making them decent? We won't say good because that's not what they are. They're decent to start this season.
Well, you can pinpoint players, you can see what they've done. That's been well, right? But I've been a really big fan of their hitting. It's been the past couple of years where it's like, whoa, the Phillies, they may not be the best in the standings, but their hitting excels, right? Rice Hoskins has been great. He's still a great hitter. Andrew McCutchen on the decline, but you can still look to him to get you some hits throughout the season. And we can't forget about Bryce Harper, right? Still playing at a level where we would expect him to play. And for a Phillies team that hasn't had any luck in these past couple of seasons, right? Hasn't seen the playoffs in, do you want to quote me on this? I think it's what is it, almost 10 years now? So
it's been a long time for Philly.
It's a shock for most people, but I'm a big fan of their hitting. Huge fan, actually.
Well, everything seems to be firing on all cylinders over in Philadelphia, and it's probably the only Philadelphia team that's worth watching this year.
Not playing on all cylinders right now, and that's the Atlanta Braves, who are 9-12, and they look average this year. I wonder if that run to the AL or the NLCS hurt them a little bit there.
Maybe it gave them too much false hope.
Yeah, that's
they were a game away. That was it.
They're one game away from the World Series.
One game away. But Ronald Acuna Jr., I had to mention him. It was going to come. Mm-hmm. Potential MVP from the way he's playing. I know an injury set him back a little bit, and we're going on to our fantasy draft here. I chose him at third, right? And I could say that was a good pick.
Yeah.
Right? Who with Mookie Betts and Fernando Tatis Jr. going 1 and 2. I'm happy with that, and I bet the Braves are happy with his performance.
Mike Trout didn't even go in top 3 in our fantasy draft. That's kind of funny, actually. That now that I think about it. Now here's a funny thing. The Miami Marlins are also 9-12, but they're the only team in the NL East that has a better than 0 run differential.
At a whopping +1.
The only one, a +1. It's unbelievable because the other teams suck so bad. Guys, the Marlins are going to be sneaky this year, I think. I don't know about you guys, but this team is poised for greatness, I think.
They are. After a unfortunate playoff run last year, right? Like you had a feeling.
They beat the Cubs, but they were no match for Atlanta.
No match for the Braves. They're just a young roster. There's a lot of guys that I look at and say, "Whoa, they're poised for a competitive game, right?" And there's been a lot of people talking about Jazz Chisholm. He's really picked it up. Jesus Aguilar.
My guy.
They have a lot of rising talent. And I don't know if they're ready just yet in this East Division, which is pretty tough.
Yeah.
So, but they're gonna be there.
They will be ready in a couple of years for sure.
Yeah, it takes time. It will take time.
The East has been soft as cotton candy so far this season, and we'll go back to the Nationals for a quick second, who are the worst team in that division, and they're negative 24 run differential. They are not playing well. Kind of like I predicted, actually. I feel pretty good about that one now that I think about it, gentlemen. Is it just time for the Nationals to start trading off pieces? It's time to rebuild.
They want Bryce Harper back.
Well, thing about them is that they won that World Series and just been on the decline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can see what they've done over the past couple of years, saying their pitching's been okay, hitting's been decent. It's just the guys that they want to step up aren't really doing it, right? Josh Bell not having the greatest season in the world, Trey Turner, pretty slow start. And to see Starlin Castro leading the team is like, it's okay.
Mhm.
So it's not a surprise that they're last in that division. That division's close, right? Even at 8-11,
Yeah.
they're last. It's closer than you think.
Yeah,
Because the
they're only,
Mets
they're
are
only 2 games
literally-
back.
Yeah, they're only 2 games back, right? So
The Mets are only 9-8. That's so funny. Now on to the NL Central, gentlemen. I gotta say it. My Milwaukee Brewers, and I know I'm wearing my Flames jersey still, but my Milwaukee Brewers are the leading team in the NL Central at 13-8. And I just want to say I feel very right about this team. The Brewers have 2 elite of the elite pitchers in Brandon Woodruff and Corbin Burns.
yep.
And the offense is finally starting to pick it up. This team is going to be, if they play like this for the whole season, they're going to be scary come playoff time.
Exactly. And to see them do this without Yelich for most of the time is just beyond impressive, right?
He's been out with back inflammation,
Yeah.
which
But-
thankfully isn't serious. They had an MRI on him and he's okay.
But a player who recently just played for the Blue Jays, Travis Shaw, what happened there? Like,
You know what's funny too is I think the Blue Jays brought him in from Milwaukee
yep.
to try and get this out of him. And then they didn't. And
He's
he
just in an
realized-
element where he's happy, I think,
Ironic.
because there was only a couple seasons ago where he topped 100 RBI, right?
Yep.
So
3.
not much of a surprise here.
He's got the stuff for it. And I'm just gonna breeze through the rest of this division quickly because it's nothing really to write home about, except for the team right in the middle. So I'll say St. Louis is 11-10. We knew they were going to be battling for first spot with Milwaukee. But then the team in third is not a team you'd expect. It's the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are at 500. I can't believe my eyes.
What is it?
What
The
is happening?
first time in about 7 years where we've seen the Pirates play this well.
This is the first time in at least 3 years the Pirates have been above 500 or at 500 at this deep into the season. It seems like.
This deep into the season.
I know 22 games is
Yeah.
crazy, but I don't know what's with Pittsburgh and the Cubs are fourth. It's kind of where I predicted. They've lost like 5 games to Milwaukee already this season. I won't hurt them too bad for that. But the team I do want to hurt bad for what they're doing currently is the team in last, and that's the Cincinnati Reds, who are 9-12 and have suddenly lost 7 in a row. What's going on in Cincinnati?
Their pitching, you look at their pitching, right? And they have big names. So that's been like a bit of an issue, right? Luis Castillo not really having the season that he wanted. Wade Miley, easily probably the best pitcher right there. And then Sonny Gray. Then if you look at their hitting, they only have a couple of bright spots, right? And they have the names that could pop out, like Jonathan India's had a little bit of a good season. Tyler Naquin, honestly, leading the team.
Hilarious.
A former
Hilarious.
Cleveland Indian. Not much you'd expect from the Reds. Just after a season where they made the playoffs. It's a little unfortunate.
I think they remind me a lot of like the Buffalo Sabres, in which their fan base has been so loyal for so long, and they just want to see some damn success.
I don't think it's as bad as Buffalo's situation, though.
It's not good.
The last time, so Cincinnati made the playoffs last season, and they didn't score a single run in either of the playoff games they played against the Braves. We're back to Atlanta again. The last time before that they made the playoffs was I believe it was the 2015 National League wildcard game.
I think the last time before then was
Give me a second.
was
here.
2013 against the Pittsburgh Pirates in the
Yeah, you
the
might be
wild
right.
card game.
13.
I believe it was that long ago, right?
And they lost that game to the Pittsburgh
lost-
Pirates.
And they lost
Think
that
about
game
that for a second. That is
What-
not good.
when that was the year when Johnny Cueto was on the team pitching for them and
Yep. And they
couldn't provide much.
The Pirates fans were yelling Cueto, and they made him drop the ball. And
Exactly.
then Russell Martin
Oh,
hit a home
yeah.
run on the last pitch. Russell Martin, by the way, a Pittsburgh Pirate. So yeah, it would have been 2013, not 2015, like I said. So that's the Central, and now we move on to the Gauntlet.
The most exciting
The
division
most
in
exciting,
baseball.
shockingly even division in baseball, and that's the NL West. What is
Love
happening
this.
here? So we'll just cover the bottom of the division first. The Colorado Rockies, they're 8-13. Everyone kind of expected them to be here. However, their offense is third best in the division. They're better than the Padres offensively so far this year. Now that's the Coors effect probably coming into play.
Yep.
But they have a +8 run differential right now. Their pitching's actually performing decently. Guys like John Gray, Herman Marquez, having decent starts to the season. And before we go on, every single team in this division has a positive run differential. All of them, all 5.
Only division in the majors.
Yep, and they're actually, I think they're the only division in the majors that has even one or more, because I think every other division has at least 2.
Mhm.
So they don't even have one. It's crazy. The Arizona Diamondbacks, they're 11-11. They've won 2 in a row. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They're on a bit of a roll, and their offense is lethal so far this year. And the funny thing is, too, they got the medicine they needed in Cincinnati yesterday when Madison Bumgarner threw a 7-inning no-hitter. And the other game, Zach Gallen only allowed 1 hit.
Yeah.
Like they're final. It looks like the Diamondbacks are starting to piece things together.
It's about time, but in the thrilling division of the NL West, it's hard to contain and it's hard to see them eventually compete with the top teams, right?
Yeah.
And I know you're just about to list the top 3 teams, but in the Diamondback situation, their team isn't bad. It's
They're not. No.
It's just so hard in the West, right? And it's been a while since they've fully made a playoff run. And the only team that could stop them is the number 1 in the division.
I mean, there's a couple more teams that could stop them possibly too, and those are the San Diego Padres, who are 13-11 now.
Yeah, before we move on, first I want to go back to Arizona for 1 second.
Yep.
Because I want to ask you guys, you brought up Madison Bumgarner and that no hitter.
Yeah.
Yep.
So because it was only 7 games, because it was 7 innings, because it was a doubleheader, it officially will not go in the record books as a no hitter. Do you guys agree with that, or should it be a no hitter?
No, it should be a no-hitter.
It should be a no-hitter. It's unfortunate.
It's just like the way, because MLB considers the starting of a no-hitter count. Like, you know how on the MLB app you'll see no-hitter flash up after like 5 innings?
Yeah.
I think it should be a no-hitter after 5 innings. Like, do what you say.
Do you think the MLB will look into this? Do you think they'll look into this for future situations?
Probably not.
I think probably that they want to keep the integrity of the game. So what they should do is they should add a category for 7-inning no-hitters.
Mm-hmm.
They should make that a thing that they count towards.
That might be the inaugural appearance, right? As Jake just said, they probably won't look into it. There was a lot of discussions about it saying, oh, should have been. My honest opinion, guys, it was a no-hitter at the end of the day. 7 innings or 9.
I mean, if you think about it, 7 innings is still a ridiculous amount of time to throw no hitter.
Yep.
Like,
especially for a guy who's 37 years old.
Yeah, like that's wild. And I can't believe they don't consider that a no hitter.
It's still considered a complete game, though, right? If I remember
yes,
that correctly.
It's a complete game, but yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, it's weird. But another thing that's weird is the team in second, and the Padres are really good. I want to talk about Fernando Tatis quickly, just because I can brush the other team off to the side for a second. Fernando Tatis is hilarious and probably the most fun player in baseball. No.
Oh,
He
guaranteed.
he definitely looked at that sign though when he hit that home run.
I love the John Boy breakdown of that. That was really funny. And then I think the funnier part of that series against the Dodgers, though, after San Diego took 3 of 4, was Tatis doing the closed eye celebration at Trevor Bauer, and
Yeah.
then him reacting to it. And
What an
I love-
electric player that guy is.
I
Yeah.
love what
The MLB hasn't seen a guy like that in a long time.
I love what Bauer said when he said it helps grow my following, it helps grow his following, and it helps grow baseball. This is what you want as a major league employee or a fan, especially a fan. You want this. You want this kind of electricity and personality in the game of baseball, because for the last 20 years it's really not been like this, and it hasn't been as enjoyable for someone to hit like that.
Yeah.
Funnier
He's going to
part.
be the best hitter in the league in the next
Oh,
5
yeah.
years.
And for a guy who's only 22 years old and he's lifting it up on this stage is beyond impressive and convincing for the Major League Baseball, right?
Yeah.
And Fernando Tatis comes from a baseball family. His
Yeah.
father, who
Father,
played,
yeah, dad.
who just retired, not just retired, but retired in 2010. It's been a good time for Padres fans, and just to know you have a guy, and also in the league, it's good to know you have a guy, as you said, with that electricity, with that excitement, with the hype in his game. It looks so good.
Yeah, and it's really funny when you talk about the junior club. We mentioned Ronald Acuna Jr. earlier and Fernando, and then you got Vladdy Guerrero, who is also now all of a sudden part of that club, hitting 365 this season. So it's unbelievable how those guys have been playing. And can I just say, maybe top 3 most exciting players in the league right now? Probably those 3 guys.
In that order,
I think Tatis, Acuna, then
Tatis,
Guerrero.
Acuna, then
Yeah,
Guerrero.
I'd probably agree with that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're unreal players.
They're fun
They
to
are.
watch too.
they are.
But the one thing
we'll
with Tatis is right now he's leading the league in errors for a shortstop. He's got 9.
Yeah, but but if he was not making it up with his hitting, then I could
Yeah.
understand it being a problem.
No one's really looking at that side.
He'll fix up
Average fan won't look at that side.
he'll fix up his game, I'm sure.
But Pop Quiz, you guys know who's second on that list?
Bo Bichette.
That's correct. Bo Bichette with 6.
I thought so. Oh wow, only 6. Jeez, Tatis, and he was hurt for a few games too.
Yeah.
Oh boy, wow, that is no good for him. So quickly, I want to go through the last 2 teams. The San Francisco Old Giants are 14-8, and they're holding down the first wild card spot. The Giants are just turning back the clock here.
Veteran team, guys.
Yeah.
Like if you look at their team compared to a couple of years ago, it's not that different, right? Still got Posey, still got Belt, still got Crawford, right? So
No Bob Gardner though.
no,
No Baumgartner.
no, they don't have the World Series MVP. That's how it is. But
Yeah,
well,
it is what it is.
but for the Giants to play this well with the leadership guys that they have, it's nice.
Only 1 game back at the Dodgers.
It's nice to see. That's the crazy part, is they're 1 game back in the first place team, who's the Dodgers, who need no introduction. They've lost 1 game in a row. Whatever. They're the Dodgers still.
Teams fall apart. Lost a game in a row. It's season's over.
That's it. Season's over in April.
Time to sell the farm.
To keep this really quick, the Dodgers are first this is the overall standings. The Brewers are second, the Mets are third, and then the wild card teams, San Francisco and San Diego right now. So that'll be interesting. The Cardinals are not in that race yet, but we'll see it as it goes along. And that is it for baseball, gentlemen. Now, one more topic I want to go through quickly, and that is Mel Kiper Jr.'s mock draft ranking for this week's NFL draft.
For those who don't know, Mel Kiper Jr. is ESPN's NFL draft guru. He's been there for God knows how many years. And basically all he does is he just studies all the prospects and he just creates mock draft after mock draft, trying trying to predict. And honestly, I'll say he doesn't really do the best job.
All right. Well, now that Luke has said that, I can't wait to get his criticisms of their drafts here.
Well, I'm gonna throw this out here about Mel Kiper. We talked about this just before we came on the air. He's the guy that came up with this supposed rule that you can't draft a running back in the first round. He says you never do that. And there's a famous clip from a few years ago when him and John Gruden was still with ESPN, got into a spar on draft night. And he straight up asked Mel Kiper, knowing what we know now, would you not take Barry Sanders in the first round? Without hesitation, Mel Kiper said no, he wouldn't.
That's unbelievable.
Oh, no.
Barry Sanders was an unreal player. Two-sport athlete too. He played in 2 different major sports. Unbelievable. And here's Kuiper's ranking of the NFL draft. I'm gonna go 1 through 15 in the first round, because after that it's kind of up and down. You won't really find out what you get. So first, obviously, the Jacksonville Jaguars get Trevor Lawrence. That's a slam dunk. You can't go wrong with that pick.
That's not bad. It's gonna happen. We knew it
go
was gonna
wrong.
happen for the past 2 years.
You cannot go wrong with Trevor Lawrence at 1. And he has the New York Jets taking Zach Wilson at 2. Now, Zach Wilson has kind of come out of nowhere, really, over the last little while. Like a lot of people have been watching film of BYU games, and they've seen that Zach Wilson's got some talent and he's got some tools to be a good quarterback.
Yeah, and then he really impressed at his pro day as well.
Yep, and that's going to be key to getting him drafted soon. The San Francisco 49ers traded up to number 3, so they're there, and they're going to be taking, according to Mel, Mac Jones from Ohio State. Wait, what? Hold up.
Hey.
Hold up. Mel, Mac Jones played for Alabama. He has him listed from Ohio State here, so we're just
that's a little wrong.
We're going to ignore that part, but Mac Jones from Alabama going to the San Francisco 49ers. Luke, would that not be a big addition for San Francisco if he plays at the level he did at Alabama?
Yeah, he would be for sure. I'm a little bit worried about his transition to the program. I think he's definitely got the potential to do it. I don't think he's a 3rd overall pick in this draft.
I was going to say, wow.
I think he's lower down. I think if you're going to be San Francisco take quarterback at the 3rd pick, I think you take either Justin Fields or Trey Lance. Probably leaning more towards Fields. I think Fields has gotten a bit of a bad rap over the past few weeks, especially with the way he kind of had that disappointing performance in the playoffs, and then there's been some rumors swirling around over the past couple of weeks of apparently his work ethic was thrown into question. But I still think, even though I gotta say I am a big Ohio State hater, I think Justin Fields can be a legit quarterback in the NFL.
Exactly. Yeah, he can be very good, and you're gonna laugh at where he is on these rankings. Number 5, Miami Dolphins going with Kyle Pitts out of Florida, the tight end, the first non-quarterback selected in the draft, according to Mel. And I love this pick for the Dolphins. The Dolphins could use Pitts in so many different ways, and it would be a phenomenal add to their offense that's already very good.
Oh yeah, Kyle Pitts has been talked about in most drafts here, most mock drafts, and he's impressive. He's arguably one of the best tight ends in the draft.
He might be the best tight end that we've seen in an NFL draft in the last 10 years.
Guaranteed.
And Josh is guaranteeing he's the best tight end.
Well, no, okay, I'm not guaranteeing fully, but I'm guaranteeing that, like in the past 3 years or so, and to see a player come out of Florida this good, right? It's good. It's positive news.
I'm gonna mispronounce this name somehow, but the Cincinnati Bengals at number 5 take offensive tackle Penny Sewell. I definitely mispronounced that.
No, you nailed that.
Oh, wow. Okay, I nailed it. Cool. Out of Oregon. And this is exactly what Joe Burrow needs.
Yeah.
Please.
And Sewell is a phenomenal tackle. He'll be a difference maker wherever he goes. And since he would be a perfect fit for him, and as you said, Joe Burrow really needs him.
After that leg injury last year, man, the guy really needs some offensive line help.
But wouldn't it
I
make
mean-
sense that? Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say Jamari Chase. Wouldn't it make sense that the Bengals go for him after what they did? Joe Burrow.
I mean, if
and
Burrow
Chase
could
together?
use the weapons, but the problem is, it's if you have those weapons, you need to be able to use them, and if you don't have that offensive line, it's
It's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
And we see
And
that
this,
over on the
and this
NFL.
this wide receiver class is pretty deep. I think they could probably afford to take a Penny Sewell early, and then they could probably get a good wide receiver later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't have
And
an offensive
speaking-
line. Like, you need an offensive line to actually get points and protect your quarterback.
Of course. And since he already has a really good quarterback. But they did lose AJ Green in the offseason, so that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
So the Detroit Lions. Oh, wait, sorry, I'm skipping Atlanta. That's on me. This is a mock trade with Miami because Miami owns the 6th pick currently. So they're actually hold on. Oh, that's interesting. So this is a mock trade scenario for him. They have Miami trading up to 4 to get Pitts. They currently hold the 6th pick. And Atlanta trading down to get Trey Lance out of North Dakota State to be their quarterback. He'd be a good fit in Atlanta, I think. Anyway,
That'd be a great pick. Have Matt Ryan tutor him for a couple of years before Matt Ryan finally sails off into the sunset and let Trey Lance take over.
Exactly. Very good pick.
Yeah, and it'll be that. He'll be hopefully very good for the Falcons, who still have decent offensive weapons as well.
And North Dakota State, pretty elite non-Division 1A program, and of course they're probably the most high-profile player in the NFL is Carson Wentz.
Yep. I'm just gonna say we can only go to 10 today. We're running out of time, gentlemen. The Detroit Lions get Jamar Chase here in this scenario, getting a wide receiver at number 7 to go with Jared Goff, who is their new quarterback. Is this really going to be that big of a piece for the Lions, or do they need way more than just this?
They need a lot more, but I also thought that I see them going after possibly an offensive lineman. I've heard a lot about Rashawn Slater in their topics, right? And that's a part of their game where they're struggling.
They're struggling everywhere.
They're struggling everywhere, but if you want to
be
pinpoint
real.
one, the linemen haven't been great the last couple of years. And I saw in the rankings that he's actually graded higher than Sewell.
Yeah, there are some people that are really high on him.
Yeah.
And Rashawn Slater is actually slated in Kuiper's rankings to go number 13 to the Chargers. Number 8, the Panthers. Carolina will select Devontae Smith, who won the oh my
Heisman.
goodness, I forgot.
Heisman.
Thank you, the Heisman. I don't know why I wanted to say Hobie Baker. That's
He won a
not
slew of
right.
offensive awards this year. He won the Heisman. He won
If he jumped on the ice, and started skating, then the Hobie Baker would be for him.
And he is an unbelievable talent. And when you win the Heisman, that just shows how amazing of a football player you are.
Smith is awesome.
Yeah.
And
The big question though is the size. I don't think it's going to be an issue, but a lot of scouts are questioning it.
Yeah, and that's probably why he drops below Jamar Chase too.
Some people have him going below his teammate Jalen Waddle.
I'm gonna go to 10 quickly before I go to 9 because 9 is Luke's team, the Denver Broncos. But number 10, this is a mock trade with Dallas. So Dallas would trade pick number 10 to the New England Patriots. And the Patriots would select Justin Fields at quarterback.
I don't think Justin's going to fall to 10.
That's so low.
If they could get him at 10, that'd be an absolute steal.
Yep. And Jalen Waddle will go at 11 to the Giants. That would be a great piece to their core of offensive weapons that now has Galloway, and they're getting Saquon Barkley back from injury. Like, that's going to be big for them. But now back to the Broncos.
So does Kuiper have the Broncos taking Surtain?
No, Surtain is actually going 12 to the Eagles in this scenario. They actually have the Broncos taking left back Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
What do you think about that pick?
It's not bad. It's linebacker is probably not it's definitely not the main position the Broncos need to address in this draft, in my opinion.
I was just about to say, Luke, I don't know if you agree with me here. Wouldn't it make sense to go with the the Heisman Trophy winner, Devontae Smith, when Judy was easily your best receiver last season.
Yeah.
It would make a lot of sense, and it's definitely going to be possible with the pick they have.
Yeah, definitely with the pick they have, there's going to be a top receiver, I think, available. It's definitely a good option for sure. But my bigger concern right now is at the quarterback position. I don't know if Drew Lock is the answer.
Yeah.
I'm going to give. I will give Drew Lock one more year because he showed some flashes in his rookie year. Last year and his second year was the first year in the new offense, so he needs some time to grow into it. So if after this year it's still more of the same, then I think it's going to be time to move on. But I think the Broncos do need to consider trying to take a quarterback on the spot. I think one of them will definitely be in position. Maybe a Trey Lance will be available.
I was just about to say Trey Lance.
But again, if you do see a guy like Devontae Smith there as well, it'd be pretty tough not to take him. And I'd be happy either way with one of those two guys. But I don't think linebackers are really the big concern. I don't think they should take Micah Parsons, but I wouldn't be upset if they take him, especially with the questions around Von Miller's health. He missed all of last year with that torn ACL. So whether or not he's going to be back at 100% will remain to be seen. And so I guess getting a guy like Micah Parsons could be a good backup option for sure, just in case the worst happens and Von Miller is not the Von of old.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna end the podcast, the show, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna give a legendary quote from a legendary general manager, Stephen Jones, when he said, "Sometimes you got to pick the guy who falls to you. If he's the best player in the draft, got to go for him." And that's exactly what they said before they went and got, I believe it was CeeDee Lamb last year.
Yeah.
Hopefully the Cowboys are a little bit smarter than that this season.
Those Cowboys. Never know.
We'll see.
How about them Cowboys?
That is going to be it for the show.
Yep.
Jacob, you want to take us out?
Guys, thank you for joining. Josh, Luke, Jonah, and Josiah.
Dead man Josiah.
Yeah, he existed for 20 minutes. I'd like to thank you guys for joining the Bussey Banter. Obviously, this will be going on my YouTube. Jonah, host of the Hot Take podcast. Go check him out on Apple and Spotify. He will be making a YouTube channel. I will be sending him this clip, and he will be making the very first episode of the Hot Take podcast
On
his YouTube.
YouTube.
So go and check that out. Until next time, for Jonah Atchison, Luke Connolly, just Joshua Pulis. Holy shit, I'm
start
your hour over here.
What an ending!
For Jonah Atchison, Luke Connolly, and Josh Pulis, I'm Jacob Bussey, and see you guys next time.